some stupid sketch show guy here, and because I'm desperate for views, I'm going to make a second part to the first video on this topic, which was, of course, on Safari Limited 2019, but it's about time I review the second part of the line, which has been released very recently, so I might as well get some extra views, because I'm a desperate man. So, let's start with the first figure. The first figure I would like to go over is the Safari Limited T-Rex repaint. Now, of course, the first version of this, the one with the orange spots, was pretty garbage. But then when they fixed it up, getting rid of the orange spots and keeping it a decent green hue, it was good, but it was kind of generic. Then there was the Great Dinos version, which had a very appropriate size, however, its coloring was so bland. Now, this one falls into the same sort of category as the Great Dinos version of this toy, as it is not the most appealing color-wise, but it's definitely a lot better than the Great Dinos version. It has some stripes, but the dark coloring is, I don't know why, it's just a little unappealing. But still, I would rank it as the second best out of all of these iterations of the Safari Limited T-Rex. But I think it's about time we give that figure design a rest. Why don't you make more iterations of the Safari Limited Feather T-Rex? That would be awesome! Now, the next figure on this list is another very popular one, the Safari Limited Stegosaurus. Safari Limited has made a lot of Stegosaurus figures, just like T-Rex. But how should this new, modern 2019 version stand? It's actually one of the worst versions. I don't know why, but the color scheme ruins it for me. It looks so fake. Now that sounds stupid because these are all dinosaur toys, but it looks fake. It looks like a toy. It doesn't look like a real animal. Now, you'd be surprised on how well a lot of good companies are able to make dinosaur toys look like actual dinosaurs. But this is definitely not one of those times. I am not going to pick this figure up. The third figure on this list is the only non-dinosaur figure to be reviewed in this video, and that is the new Safari Limited Pterosaur. Now, I owned the original Pterosaur figure made in, I think, 2010. Yeah, I have it. It's okay. It's not the best. But this is an improvement. Now, the pose is a pose of it standing and not flying, but that's a nitpick. On its own, the color schemes look great. I love the brown with the striped crest-looking thing on the back. I don't know why, but it looks so pretty. It looks so appealing. And it looks like a real animal, unlike the Safari Limited 2019 Stegosaur. Kind of weird. But I really like this, and I agree with Camo that this is one of the better new Safari Limited releases. Next, we have yet another popular species that has definitely been done a lot in figure form, and that is Allosaurus. Now, I personally feel like a lot of Allosaurus figures are not that good, especially the Safari ones. The Carnegie versions are very outdated, both of them, and the 2007 Allosaurus is good, but it's undersized. Personally, the only particularly good Allosaurus figure I can think of on the top of my head is the Papo version. And this new 2019 version is probably the middle ground. I love the white belly. It's kind of weird, like Camosaurus definitely critiqued it for that, but I loved it. I love the white belly. I also like the color scheme, but admittedly, it looks weird. It doesn't look like an Allosaurus. I don't know why. Probably because it's a little pudgy in certain areas, but it doesn't look the most like an Allosaurus. But it still looks good. I still like it. Now, last but definitely not least, we have probably the most controversial figure on this list, and that is the new Safari Limited Spinosaurus. Now, Schleich also made a Spinosaurus for 2019, and surprisingly enough, Schleich's is light years better than this. Now, the color scheme of Safari Limited Spinosaurus is not as bad as people say. I can deal with the tan and black coloring, although it's very overused, as both the Stegosaurus and the Tylosaurus have the same color scheme, and I want something different. But it's still decent enough. And the head sculpt is definitely very Spinosaurian. But the biggest problem for me is actually the pose. The pose is supposed to be a swimming pose, but it just looks stupid. I don't know why, but the pose just ruins it for me. It's like the collected Spinosaurus. Because it's lying down, I cannot buy this figure. If it was in a different pose, it would actually be a pretty good figure. But because it isn't, it's ruined for me. Same applies here. I don't like these kinds of poses where they're in the middle of doing an action. And I've seen Collecta and a few other companies do the same thing, and I want this trend to stop. But at least the Schleich Spinosaurus did not do that. Although it is a tripod figure, that's the only major problem with it. So that is my opinion on the second batch of dinosaurs released by Safari Limited. It was kind of disappointing. Some of them were blandly colored, some of them were just posed god-awfully, and some just looked really fake. There was a lot of problems in almost all of the Safari Limited figures released, except for the Pteranodon. That one was actually not that bad, with not that many major flaws. But besides that, and maybe the Allosaurus, all the other ones have major problems. Although I will have to say that the Safari Limited Spinosaurus is a little too harshly criticized, but it's still not nearly as good as some other Spinosaurus figures, even the old Grey Papa ones. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my opinion on Safari Limited's new dinosaurs, and hope you guys want to see more videos like this. Bye!